Have you ever seen water so clear it doesn't look real, cities that glow like gold at sunset, and islands that seem to float between sky and sea? What if I told you there's a place in Europe where all of that exists in one breathtaking stretch of coastline? Welcome to Croatia. Imagine standing on ancient stone streets polished smooth by centuries of footsteps. The air smells of salt and rosemary. Church bells echo softly through narrow alleys, and every turn reveals another postcard view: terracotta rooftops, marble courtyards, and shimmering blue horizons that melt into the sky. Then there's the sea. The Adriatic here isn't just blue, it's layers of sapphire, turquoise, and crystal glass. From above, boats look like they're hovering in midair. Beneath the surface, sunlight dances across white pebbles and hidden coves. You don't just swim in this water, you float, suspended in clarity so pure it feels unreal. But Croatia isn't only coastline. Venture inland and the landscape transforms. Rolling hills stitched with vineyards. Forests that glow emerald in the summer and amber in the fall. Waterfalls cascade through lush canyons, pouring into pools so vivid they look painted. Mist rises in the early morning light, and the only sound is rushing water and birdsong. And then there are the islands, over 1,000 of them scattered like jewels across the sea. Some are wild and untouched, where pine trees lean toward the waves and silence feels sacred. Others pulse with life. Music drifting through warm night air, lantern-lit promenades, and the gentle hum of conversations that last until sunrise. Croatia is a meeting point of worlds. You can feel it in the architecture, where different empires left their mark in stone and arches. You can taste it in the food, Mediterranean freshness blended with hearty continental comfort. Olive oil pressed from centuries-old groves. Seafood pulled straight from the water. Truffles hidden beneath forest soil. Each bite tells a story of land and sea intertwined. And the light is something else entirely. At sunrise, the coastline glows soft pink and gold. By midday, the sea blazes electric blue under a flawless sky. And when evening comes, the entire horizon turns molten, orange fading into violet, stars slowly piercing the twilight as waves lap gently against ancient walls. This is a country where history isn't locked behind museum glass. It lives in everyday moments, in festivals passed down through generations, in traditional songs sung without microphones, in crafts shaped by hands that learned from their grandparents. Adventure waits here too. You can kayak along dramatic cliffs where seabirds circle overhead. Sail between islands with nothing but wind and horizon ahead of you. Hike rugged mountains that rise suddenly from the sea, rewarding you with panoramic views that make you stop and just breathe. And somehow, despite all this beauty, there's an intimacy to Croatia. It doesn't overwhelm you. It invites you. It lets you slow down. Sip coffee a little longer. Watch the tide roll in. Listen to stories from locals who greet you like an old friend. Every season tells a different story. Summer sparkles with energy and endless daylight. Autumn wraps vineyards in golden hues. Winter brings quiet charm and misty mornings. Spring awakens waterfalls and wildflowers in an explosion of green. Croatia feels like a secret, even though the world is starting to notice. It's a place where ancient stone meets endless blue. Where nature feels untouched. Where time slows just enough for you to remember what wonder feels like. There's a rhythm to life here that you start to feel after just a few days. Mornings begin slowly. The scent of fresh bread drifts through open windows. Markets fill with color. Figs split open to reveal ruby centers, tomatoes still warm from the sun, herbs bundled in fragrant green bouquets. Fishermen mend their nets while cafes spill onto cobblestone streets, cups clinking softly in the early light. By afternoon, the world seems to revolve around the sea. Families gather along rocky shores, laughter echoing across the water. Children leap fearlessly into impossibly clear depths. Sailboats trace lazy white lines across the horizon. The sun reflects off the surface in 1,000 diamonds, and time feels suspended, measured not in minutes, but in tides. And then there's the wind. A warm coastal breeze that carries the scent of salt and pine. It moves through olive groves, rustles vineyard leaves, cools sun-kissed skin. It's the kind of wind that makes you close your eyes and just breathe a little deeper. But Croatia's magic isn't only in what you see, it's in what you feel. There's a sense of resilience here. A quiet pride woven into everyday life. This is a land that has stood at the crossroads of civilizations, shaped by centuries of change, yet fiercely protective of its identity. Traditions are not preserved for tourists. They are lived, celebrated, and passed down. Music drifts through summer nights, sometimes from a distant festival, sometimes from a small gathering where voices rise together in harmony. The melodies are haunting and beautiful, echoing across stone squares and reflecting off the sea. And when night fully settles, the sky transforms. Away from city lights, the stars feel impossibly close. The Milky Way stretches overhead like a silver river. Waves lap quietly against the shore, and the world grows still in a way that feels ancient, as if it has always been this way, and always will be. For explorers, Croatia offers endless discovery. Hidden caves carved by centuries of water. Clifftop trails where every step reveals a wider, more dramatic view. Rivers so clear you can see fish gliding effortlessly below your kayak. Mountain peaks that challenge you with steep ascents and reward you with sweeping vistas of coastline and islands scattered like stepping stones. For dreamers, there are moments that feel almost cinematic. Sunlight filtering through vine leaves during a countryside lunch. A sudden summer rain that cools warm stone streets before giving way to a brilliant rainbow over the sea. Lanterns flickering along harbor walls as boats gently rock in the dark. For food lovers, it's a feast of simplicity perfected. Grilled seafood seasoned with nothing more than olive oil, lemon, and sea salt. Slow-cooked stews rich with depth and history. Fresh cheeses drizzled with local honey. Wine that captures the essence of sun-soaked hills in every sip. Meals stretch for hours, not because they have to, but because no one wants them to end. Even the silence here has character. On a remote island path, you hear nothing but cicadas buzzing in the heat. In the countryside at dusk, the world fades into soft purples and blues, and the only movement is tall grass swaying gently in the wind. It's the kind of silence that resets you, that reminds you how loud modern life can be. And yet, there's also energy. Summer brings open-air concerts, cultural celebrations, and streets alive with motion. Boats gather in lively harbors. Friends reunite after long seasons apart. Fireworks bloom above the water, their reflections doubling the spectacle below. Croatia is contrast in perfect balance. Ancient yet youthful. Lively yet peaceful. Rugged yet refined. It can be as adventurous or as tranquil as you want it to be. One day you're diving into hidden coves. The next, you're wandering centuries-old streets with no destination at all. What makes it unforgettable isn't just the scenery, though that alone would be enough. It's the way the country invites you to participate. To swim, to taste, to sing, to explore. To sit at a long table with strangers who quickly feel like friends. To learn a few local words and see faces light up in appreciation. To slow down and let moments stretch longer than you're used to. In Croatia, beauty isn't staged. It's woven into daily life. Laundry flutters between stone buildings like colorful flags. Elderly neighbors chat from their windows. Farmers carefully harvest grapes under a late summer sun. Sailors navigate by instinct and experience passed down through generations. Every corner holds a story, etched into stone walls, whispered by waves, carried in song. And the deeper you explore, the more you realize something remarkable. Croatia doesn't just show you beauty. It reminds you how to see it. There's a certain moment that happens to almost everyone who visits. It might be while standing at the edge of a cliff, watching the sea stretch endlessly toward the horizon. Or drifting on your back in calm, glassy water as the sun warms your face. Or sitting at a long wooden table under a canopy of vines, listening to laughter blend with the soft clink of glasses. You pause. You breathe. And you realize you haven't thought about your phone, your schedule, or your deadlines in hours. Croatia has a way of gently pulling you into the present. Part of it is the pace. Life unfolds slowly here, especially along the coast. Coffee isn't rushed. Conversations aren't interrupted. Meals aren't hurried. People take time to talk, time to cook, time to enjoy the view. But part of it is the landscape itself. The coastline twists and curves dramatically, revealing hidden beaches tucked between rocky outcrops. Limestone cliffs rise straight from the sea, carved into fascinating shapes by wind and waves. Inland, fields stretch toward distant mountains, where morning fog settles in the valleys like a soft white blanket. There are rivers that glow an almost surreal shade of blue-green, winding through forests so dense they feel enchanted. Wooden pathways float above cascading waterfalls, letting you walk through a world of mist and rainbows. In spring, wildflowers scatter across meadows like confetti, and in autumn, vineyards burn gold and crimson under a softer sun. And then there's the craftsmanship. Stone has been shaped here for centuries, carved into homes, churches, fortifications, and quiet courtyards. You can run your hand along walls that have stood for generations, feeling the subtle imperfections left by human hands. Roofs of clay tiles catch the light in warm tones, contrasting with the deep blue of the sea beyond. Art lives here too, not only in galleries but in everyday life. In embroidery patterns passed down through families. In wooden boats built using traditional methods. In lace so delicate it seems spun from air. The culture is layered, textured, and proud. Festivals erupt with color and sound, blending ancient customs with modern celebration. Traditional dances stamp rhythms into stone squares. Musicians play instruments that echo with history, their songs rising into the night sky. Costumes shimmer with intricate detail, each stitch carrying meaning. And yet, Croatia is not frozen in time. It pulses with contemporary creativity. Modern cafes tucked inside centuries-old buildings, innovative chefs reimagining traditional flavors, artists transforming historic spaces into hubs of inspiration. The old and the new don't compete here. They coexist beautifully. For adventurers, the country feels like an open invitation. Dive beneath the surface to explore underwater worlds where reefs teem with life. Paddle through narrow sea passages that open into secret lagoons. Cycle along coastal roads where every bend reveals another jaw-dropping panorama. Climb rugged peaks and watch clouds cast moving shadows across the islands below. For romantics, it feels like a living postcard. Golden hour light spilling across stone streets. Soft music drifting from a nearby terrace. Boats swaying gently as the sky shifts from orange to indigo. The scent of lavender carried on the breeze. A quiet kiss beneath a centuries-old archway. Even the seasons seem to perform their own magic show. Summer dazzles with endless blue skies and warm nights that stretch forever. Autumn brings harvest celebrations and quieter shores. Winter wraps towns in calm serenity, where mist rolls in from the sea and locals gather indoors for hearty meals and long conversations. Spring bursts with renewal, waterfalls roaring with melted snow, hillsides blooming in vibrant green. Wildlife thrives here too. Dolphins occasionally break the surface offshore, gliding effortlessly through shimmering waters. Birds circle high above cliffs, riding thermals with graceful precision. In forests and mountains, nature hums with life, subtle, balanced, undisturbed. There's something grounding about it all. In a world that often feels loud and overwhelming, Croatia feels steady. Solid. Rooted. The stone streets have endured centuries of change. The sea continues its timeless rhythm. The mountains stand firm against the sky. And yet, every visit feels unique. The light is never exactly the same. The sea shifts color with the mood of the sky. A hidden cove you stumble upon might feel like it belongs only to you. A spontaneous invitation to join a local celebration might become your favorite memory. It's a place where spontaneity thrives. Where you might plan a short walk and end up discovering a secluded beach. Where a simple dinner turns into hours of storytelling. Where a casual boat ride leads to an unforgettable sunset that paints the world in impossible shades of pink and gold. Croatia doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't need to. Its beauty is confident, quiet but undeniable. It reveals itself gradually, rewarding curiosity and slowing you down just enough to notice the details. The texture of ancient stone, the taste of sun-ripened fruit, the sound of waves echoing against a harbor wall. And somewhere between the sea and the mountains, between the past and the present, between stillness and celebration, you begin to understand why so many who visit once feel the pull to return again and again. Because Croatia isn't just a destination. It's a feeling that stays with you long after the journey ends. And the longer you stay, the more subtle layers begin to reveal themselves. At first, it's the obvious beauty that captures you, the brilliant water, the dramatic coastline, the warm stone glowing in the sun. But then, slowly, you start noticing the quieter details. The way shutters creak open in the morning light. The sound of footsteps echoing through narrow alleyways before the day fully begins. The faint scent of the sea lingering in the air even blocks away from the shore. There's poetry in the everyday moments here. An elderly couple walking hand in hand along a waterfront promenade, moving at an unhurried pace that feels intentional. A fisherman carefully entangling his lines as the horizon blushes pink. A baker arranging pastries in a window while the town is still half asleep. Croatia feels lived in, not staged. It's not a place that exists only for photographs, though every angle seems worthy of one. It's a place where life unfolds naturally, where authenticity hasn't been polished away. The geography itself feels almost theatrical. Jagged cliffs drop into impossibly clear waters. Hidden inlets appear suddenly between rocky walls. Inland plains stretch wide under open skies, while mountain ridges carve bold silhouettes against the horizon. In certain moments, especially at sunrise or sunset, the entire landscape seems to glow from within, as if lit by some secret source beneath the earth. And then there are the colors. Not just blue and green, but ochre stone, deep red rooftops, silver olive leaves, lavender fields swaying in purple waves. The palette shifts constantly with the time of day. Early mornings are soft and pastel. Midday is vibrant and high contrast. Evening becomes warm and cinematic, shadows stretching long across ancient squares. Water is everywhere. It trickles down moss-covered rocks in hidden forest grottos. It rushes through canyons, carving smooth curves into limestone. It laps gently against harbor walls, hypnotic and steady. It crashes against cliffs during a sudden storm, wild and untamed. Storms here are something special. Dark clouds gather over the sea, rolling in with dramatic intensity. Thunder echoes across open water. Rain falls in powerful bursts, briefly transforming stone streets into shimmering mirrors. And then, just as quickly as it arrives, the storm passes. Sunlight breaks through, illuminating everything with a renewed brilliance, as if the world has been washed clean. There's a resilience in that rhythm: calm, storm, calm again. It mirrors the spirit of the country itself. History here has not always been easy. Generations have endured change, conflict, rebuilding. And yet, what remains is not bitterness, but pride. A deep-rooted connection to culture, language, family, and land. A sense that no matter what has come before, the future will be faced with strength. You feel that strength in the people. In the firm handshake of a local welcoming you. In the animated storytelling at a dinner table. In the passionate defense of a family recipe that's been perfected over decades. Hospitality here isn't performative, it's heartfelt. There's also a deep respect for nature. Boats glide carefully through marine sanctuaries. Trails are maintained to protect fragile landscapes. Local ingredients are celebrated seasonally, not forced out of time. The relationship between people and land feels balanced, almost instinctive. And when you step away from the busier areas, a different kind of magic unfolds. You might find yourself alone on a quiet path overlooking the sea, hearing nothing but wind and distant waves. Or sitting beneath ancient trees whose roots have gripped the earth for centuries. Or floating in water so still and silent that you can hear your own heartbeat. These are the moments that linger. The kind you replay in your mind weeks later. The kind that show up in dreams long after you've returned home. Croatia also has a cinematic quality, landscapes so striking they almost feel fictional. It's easy to imagine epic stories unfolding here. Ships appearing on distant horizons, travelers arriving after long journeys, celebrations echoing through torch-lit streets. But what makes it truly remarkable is that it's real. You can walk those streets. You can swim in that water. You can taste the salt carried by the breeze. You can climb the hills and feel the earth beneath your feet. Every sense is engaged. The crunch of gravel under sandals. The warmth of sun-heated stone beneath your palm. The sparkle of sea spray catching the light. The sound of laughter drifting across a harbor at night. The taste of fresh fruit so sweet it feels almost unreal. Even time feels different here. Days stretch longer, fuller. Nights invite conversation instead of rushing toward sleep. Hours are measured not by notifications, but by shadows shifting across walls. And perhaps that's the true wonder of Croatia. Not just its landscapes, or its history, or even its food. But the way it gently reminds you what it feels like to be fully present. To wake with sun. To wander without a fixed destination. To sit quietly and watch the horizon change colors. To share stories under a sky scattered with stars. To feel connected, to nature, to history, to people, to yourself. And as you continue exploring, you begin to sense that Croatia isn't something you simply visit. It's something you experience slowly, layer by layer, moment by moment. Like turning the pages of a story that keeps unfolding with every step you take.